I've reviewed all sorts on this channel, from AAA bangers to indie disasters, and I've always had a soft spot for the plucky underdog trying to make something special and to give it large to the big game studios. Well, buckle in, my pedigree chums, because the Pub Life Simulator might just be the worst game I've ever reviewed in the 3 years that we've been doing this here. Early access or not, this one ain't just rough around the edges, it's practically disintegrating in your hands. We're talking bugs, glitches, animations that wouldn't look out of place in a mannequin rehab centre. But worst is the gameplay loop. It's so mind-numbingly dull, you'll be reaching for your nearest USB cable just to gouge your eyes out. So put the kettle on, grab a cuppa, and let's brace ourselves for the worst pint that you have ever tasted. I can't tell you how excited I was to get stuck into this one. A simulator where you run your own juicer, slinging pints, over-serving punters, watching them redecorate your floor with last night's kebab, or whilst you rake in the cash. That's banter central, the kind of banter made for this channel and all of you lot who love a proper laugh. But no one's laughing here, ladies and gents, because the Pub Life Simulator is so catastrophically bad, I genuinely don't know where to start this review. I honestly felt like the poor saps that you see in the local boozer who stare into their pints wondering where their life went wrong. Now look, let's have a word about early access. I get it, things are still in development, improvements are on the way, yada yada, but I'm not here to rate what it might be one day. I'm here to judge what you're getting for your money today. And right now, this thing is clinging on for dear life that I can't believe they felt it was worth releasing in this state. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? You spawn on a quiet little high street, stood outside your very own boozer, weirdly with a Porsche slap bang in the middle, surrounded by a railing fence. As you look in, you can see that your pub is already looking the part. It has swanky signage inside, bar stools, tables, a weirdly lavish VIP area, and even a bloody popcorn machine, proper glammed up setup, and that right there is where the buzz dies. See, you're not starting with some rundown piss-soaked shithole that you've got to build up from the ground up. There's no sense of struggle, no rags to riches or dodgy licensing deals. Just here you go, mate. Here's your fully furnished pub, off your trot. And by the way, this ain't a pub, it's a bar. To my American friends, a proper pub doesn't have seats at the bar area. It doesn't have a VIP section. You don't take table service, and it isn't plastered with neon signs and places to grab popcorn. This is an American style bar for sure, a cross between a Denny's and a Hennessy's. But first comes the joy of naming your fine establishment, and wouldn't you know it, the character limit's tighter than a gnat's arsehole. I tried to call my boozer the Cockney Pub. No dice, I'm afraid. How about the Cockney Inn? Computer said no. So what did I end up with? The Cock. And to really twist the knife, you can't even centre the bloody name on the sign. So anyone strolling past is treated to what looks like a tragic dive bar set up by a bloke who couldn't finish his own branding. Just this sad little sign that reads The Cock, shoved off to one side like it's been written by some twat who failed graphic design class. Either way, once you step through the doors, you're hit with the classic simulator rite of passage, cleaning up the gaff. First job, mop up the radioactive piss stains that litter the floor. Then comes my personal highlight, tearing paper off the windows, and every time you do, you're rewarded with a sound effect ripped straight from a 1950s sci-fi movie. Pew zap, it's less grimy pub restoration and more alien invasion in Bethnal Green. Next up, it's time to order in some stock using your ever reliable tablet. The delivery driver, bless him, is a right obnoxious twat. He rocks up honking his horn like he's got the King's barrels in the back, only to lob your goods out onto the street. Now, stocking up should be simple, except it isn't. The mouse clicks barely register, dragging items around is a nightmare, and half the time you'll end up placing stuff wherever the game randomly lets you. I gave up trying to be organised and just dumped everything on the floor like a pissed up landlord in denial. One keg and 12 bottles on the shelf later, and I was ready to put this pub on the map. A pub so grand, so iconic, that even Weatherspoons would nod in respect. But before that, the final flourish, picking a song on the jukebox. And what did I choose? Why, the most soulless, toe-curling elevator music imaginable. The perfect soundtrack then to my sad little empire. Right then, doors open, let the punters stumble in. Welcome to the cock. Now when the punters finally do start rolling in, you're treated to the same 4 or 5 character models recycled, like they've just crawled out of a daycare animation project. They walk stiff as boards, but there's this weird undertone of aggression to their stride, like they hate your pub, but they've got a dingleberry wedged so deep they've had no choice but to march in and get on with it. As they approach the bar, the world enters slow motion, not for drama mind you, but because this game can't seem to handle more than 2 animations without melting. They sort of lower themselves onto their seat like they're trying not to rupture a hernia, and then politely ask for a drink. And here comes the real punch to the plums. You've got 60 seconds to serve them something from your grand total of what, 5 drinks? But don't expect any skills here, no bottle cap popping, no foam balancing act in a pint. You just click a button and poof, the tap pours itself the bottle open like it's got magic fingers, and your part in it is as meaningful as the coaster that you place it on. And then you watch as they bring the glass to their lips and drink fresh, empty air. No liquid, no animation, just pantomime pints all around. But the piece de resistance, when one punter sits down solo in a booth, bang, 3 of their mates spawn from thin air like it's a bloody magic show. From 1 guest to 4, but weirdly with no extra orders, no extra logic, just 4 people sharing a single pint. Welcome to the pub life simulator then, where physics, animation and common sense have all been barred for life. There are long stretches where you're just aching for something, anything to happen. At one point I clocked some geezer stroll out without paying. Naturally I followed protocol and lamped him round the back of the head with my trusty baseball bat, in broad daylight mind you, but the bloke took it like a champ. At that point I figured it wasn't worth the paperwork from the local plod, and off he continued. Then came the lightweights. You serve them a single bottle of beer to be shared between 4 people, and 30 seconds later they're hurling up what looks like more radioactive bile all over their ankles and your freshly mopped floor. I've no idea what the alcohol content is at the cock, but judging by the violent spewage, it's somewhere between paint thinner and Satan's tears. So back you go to the mop, not because you want to, but because mopping up earns you popularity points. That's right, ladies and gents, this town respects a man who scrubs sick like it's an Olympic event. And as your reputation grows, you unlock new drinks, a bit of gin, a few extra beers, but none of it really matters. You'll still be frantically clicking like a maniac, fighting the game's controls just to place an item on a shelf. No finesse, no satisfaction, just an endless loop of misery and mess. Now I'm sure, or at least I hope, more unlocks as you keep playing, and normally I force myself to clock in at least 5 hours on these smaller indie games before passing judgment. But not this time. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stomach it, because as the in-game days dragged on, nothing changed, nothing evolved. I just kept slinging the same sad drink, slowly grinding my way towards the next meaningless rank like some kind of lager-scented hamster in a wheel. What you're seeing right now is an entire in-game day sped up, and it's just rinse and repeat. A customer walks in, awkward as ever, sits down, glugs their invisible booze, stumbles off. Then you do it all again, and again, and again. There's no escalation, no chaos, no real simulation, just tedium dressed up in a pint glass. And that's when it hits you. Once you've played this for an hour, you've already seen everything it has to offer. And worst, it's an hour of your life you're never getting back, not even with a refund, not even with therapy. Graphically, this one's a proper dog's dinner. First off, don't even think about playing it in 4K. The game just outright refuses, won't detect the resolution, won't let you force it. It's like trying to get a pint at last call. You could beg all you want, lads, but it just ain't happening. As for the textures, every object looks like it's been run through a sandpaper filter. Blurry, grainy textures slapped on like someone sneezed on your screen and called it art. Trying to read the labels on the bottles is like playing through the eyes of someone who's already 10 pints deep. Every edge has jaggies sharp enough to give you tetanus. The glasses that you serve in, well, they look like they're made from prison issue plastic. Cloudy, soulless, and generally a mess to look at. Stylistically, the whole pub is a mess. It's like someone tried to recreate a ruin bar from Budapest but accidentally based it on a Greg's. There's no cohesion, no warmth, just clutter and confusion. And the patrons, they'll either steam in with massive coke-fueled cartoon eyeballs, pitch black silhouettes with bugged out lighting, or decked out in full goth rabbit cosplay. I assume the latter is meant to be edgy, but honestly, it just looks like someone rolled the dice on the worst Steam Workshop mods available. Maybe they're hot wives, lured in by the bar's unfortunate name, The Cock, or maybe this town just needs help. Either way, it's disturbing. Now, to be fair, the lighting does attempt some reflective surfaces and the pub interior has a touch of detail here and there. Even the outside's got a bit of effort put in. But the animations, yeah, good luck with that one, lads. Some just don't exist. Liquids can be lightning fast. Mops instantly appear. Limbs clip through furniture. It looks like a game, but only in the same way a microwave meal looks like food. Technically accurate, but deeply upsetting. Even your mum would take one look at this and go, "Nah, love, that looks crap." Somehow though, the sound manages to top everything else as the worst offender in this entire mess, and that is saying something. I've already ranted about the jukebox, which spits out the kind of lifeless elevator music that makes you question your will to live, but you could almost forgive that if the rest of the audio was half decent. Spoiler alert, it ain't. As you know, you've got the obnoxious delivery driver honking like he's auditioning for Twat of the Year, followed by the dull, soul-sapping thuds of glasses hitting tables. But nothing prepares you for the customer voice lines. When you serve someone the correct drink, you don't get a simple thanks or a bit of polite nodding. Instead, you're hit with what sounds like a toddler on a sherbet binge, screeching woohoo hoo yeah, like they've just won a lifetime supply of jelly beans. And the blokes, well, they drop this low, breathy, ah yeah, that makes you want to shut the pub, burn it to the ground and alert your local vigilante group that you found a pedo ring. It's not just weird, it's proper unsettling. Top it off with robotic greetings like hello that land somewhere between a broken intercom and a dodgy AI assistant, and you've got a soundscape that would make even a deaf person wince. The Pub Life Simulator gets a rock bottom score then, but only to match the rock bottom content and the rock bottom polish. It's currently sitting on a mixed rating on Steam, which honestly blows my mind. I can only assume the positive reviews came from mates, mums, or people who've never actually clicked play. But here's the thing, if you're going to slap a price tag on it, then you've got to expect a bit of judgment, and truthfully, even if this was free to play, I'd still struggle to recommend it. Not because I want to be harsh, but because it genuinely feels like it would be a waste of your internet bandwidth. This thing is so early, I'm surprised it even boots up. Do I think though that it's beyond saving? Oddly no. The concept is sound. A pub simulator, run your own boozer, deal with drunk punters. There's something there, but this needed 6 to 12 months of development, minimum. As it stands, they've poured that pint before it's finished brewing, and well, all we've got is flat, lukewarm piss. Right now, it's one of the worst early access games I've ever played on this channel, and that, my lovelies, is saying something. Until next time, love to you all, Reggie out.